My name is Darcy Ingram, and I need you to picture something for a moment. It's a Thursday night in March. A thunderstorm is tearing through Tennessee, the kind where the wind bends trees sideways and rain hits the ground so hard it bounces back. Up power lines are shaking, streets are turning into rivers, and somewhere in the middle of all of that, crawled inside a concrete storm drain, 4 blocks from a warm house, is my daughter. She is 8 years old. She weighs 52 pounds. She is wearing cotton pajamas with little stars on them and a shirt that says Future. Scientist. No shoes, no jacket, no phone. Just her backpack pressed over her head, trying to use it as a shield against the storm. She has been there for 3 hours. 3 hours of rain hitting her face, 3 hours of thunder, shaking the concrete under her small body. 3 hours of waiting for someone, anyone, to come find her, and nobody came. Not her grandmother, not her aunt, not the man who put her there. The person who found her was a police officer named Gutierrez, responding to a 911 call from a 70-year-old neighbour who had watched through her kitchen window as a child in pajamas walked out into a storm. When Officer Gutierrez found Lily, she was shaking so hard she couldn't speak. Her lips were blue, her feet were bleeding from running, barefoot on wet asphalt. Her body temperature had dropped. She held her backpack against her chest like it was the only thing left in the world that belonged to her, and when the EMTs arrived, and a nurse later checked that backpack at the U hospital, tucked into the front pocket, right next to where someone had hidden something that was never supposed to be there, she found a small plastic card, a military dependent ID. My name on the back, an emergency contact number, a nurse. Dialed that number at 9:37 p.m. I was 12 minutes away, sitting in a hotel room, staring at the ceiling, counting down the hours until a lawyer could file paperwork the next morning. I didn't know my daughter was in a storm drain. I didn't know what had already happened, but I was about to find out, and when I did, everything I had been quietly building for months was about to come down on the people who did. This not with anger, not with revenge, with paperwork, with documentation, with a system I had learned to use better than they ever expected. This is the story of how I lost my daughter to the people I trusted most, and how I got her back. Stay with me. Because what happened in that hospital room when my father walked in, and what came after, is something I think about every single day, and it starts a long time before that. Storm. Backstory plus deployment setup. Choose 6 minutes. My father's name is Ray Ingram, and if you grew up in a house with a man like Ray Ingram, you already know what I mean when I say he had a version of how things were supposed to be, and everything that didn't fit that version simply didn't exist. His version went like this. Daughters stay close to home. Daughters marry young. Daughters are grateful for what they're given, and daughters are quiet about everything they're not. My sister Jenna understood this perfectly. She married Derek Walsh at 21, had their son Tyler at 22, moved into a house 10 minutes from my parents. My father smiled at her. Wedding like he'd personally built the son. Joined the army at 18, not because I loved uniforms and salutes, but because the army was the one door my father couldn't close. He tried everything else. When I told him I was enlisting, he stood in the kitchen of the house I grew up in and looked at me, like I had said something in a language he refused to learn. Real Ingrams don't walk out on their family, he said, and then he went quiet, the kind of quiet that was louder than any argument. I left anyway. I went through ROTC, then Officer Candidate School, then a logistics commission out of Fort Campbell, Kentucky. By 24, I was a first lieutenant managing supply chains for an entire brigade. By 25, I was pregnant. The father, a civilian contractor named Marcus, disappeared when I was 6 months along. No call, no address, just an empty apartment and a note that said, "I'm not ready. I raised Lily alone." Base housing. Meal plans. Every scrap of leave I could find. Weekly video calls with my mother. Monthly calls with my father, which always ended the same way. "When are you coming home, Darcy?" I never answered that question the way they wanted, but I always answered Lily's. "Where are we going next, Mummy?" "Wherever the army sends us, baby. And we'll make it work." We always made it work, until the deployment orders came. 9 months. Kuwait. Every military parent knows the Family Care Plan. It's a Department of Defense document. You designate a caregiver. You sign legal paperwork. You put your child's life into someone else's hands and you fly halfway around the world hoping you made the right call. My parents volunteered before I even asked. My mother called the morning after I told her. She's our granddaughter, Darcy. Of course we'll take her. I felt relieved. Lily would be in a real house. A good school district. 2 grandparents who had already raised 2 children. The alternative was an army buddy's wife. A woman. Lily had met exactly twice, so I signed. I set up a $1,200 monthly transfer directly into my parents' account. Childcare, groceries, school supplies, everything. My father never once mentioned that money. Not to me. Not to my sister. I didn't find that out until later either. The night before I deployed, I sat on Lily's bed in our base apartment. I pulled something out of my pocket, her military-dependent ID card. Her photo. My name underneath. Emergency contact on the back. I clipped it inside her backpack. What's that for? She asked. It tells anyone who finds you that you belong to me. No matter where I am, no matter how far, you show someone this card and they will call your mum. She ran her fingers over it. Even if you're in another country. Even then. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said something that I filed away, and should not have. What if Grandpa gets mad again? Again. I sat down what I was packing. What do you mean again? She picked at her blanket. Nothing. He just gets loud sometimes. Like when Tyler breaks something and Grandpa thinks I did it. Has Grandpa ever scared you? She shrugged. That 8-year-old shrug that means yes but doesn't have the vocabulary for it yet. I told myself my father was strict. Not dangerous. I told myself Lily was safe. I was wrong about one of those things, and I didn't figure out which one until my daughter was in a storm drain. Kuwait was flat, hot, and 18 hours ahead of Tennessee. My shifts ran 12 to 14 hours a day. Supply routes, forward operating bases, logistics that kept soldiers fed and equipped. I scheduled my video calls with Lily at 6 a.m. local time, noon back home. Her lunch break, except the calls never happened at school. My mother always insisted on hosting them from the kitchen. Better Wi-Fi, she said, and she was always in the frame, behind Lily, adjusting the camera, smiling. The first few weeks Lily talked normally. About her teacher, about a girl who could burp the alphabet, about a bird that landed on the playground fence. Then something shifted. The calls got shorter, her answers got smaller. How's school? Fine. What did you do today? Stuff. Are you and Tyler getting along okay? Long pause. I don't know. I tried asking my mother directly. Is something going on with Lily? She seems different. Connie waved her hand at the camera. She's adjusting, Darcy. All kids do this when their routine changes. She just needs time. Can I talk to her alone next time, without you in the room? The Wi-Fi is better in the kitchen. I didn't push harder. I should have. Then I noticed something else. Lily stopped saying Tyler's name. She used to mention him every call. Tyler showed me his baseball cards. Tyler and I played in the yard. Tyler knows every player on the Braves roster. Now, the silence. You and Tyler doing okay? She looked down. Yeah. You sure? Can I go, Mom? Grandma says lunch is ready. I started paying attention to the things I could actually verify. The school had an online parent portal. I checked it every morning before my shift. What I found stopped me cold. Tyler Walsh, picked up by Ray Ingram car pickup lane, every day at 3:15 p.m. Lily Ingram, enrolled in after-school program. Pickup listed at 5:30 p.m, sometimes 6:00, emergency contact on file, Connie Ingram. Not Ray. He hadn't even put his name on her school record. My daughter waited 2 hours longer than her cousin. Every single day. Then Tyler had his birthday in October. I saw the photos on my sister's social media. 15 kids. A bounce house in the backyard. A cake shaped like a baseball diamond. My parents grinning behind a table of gifts they had paid for. Lily's birthday was in January. My mother texted me one photo. Lily at the kitchen table. A store-bought cake. No candles. No friends. A paper plate with one slice of yellow cake. My mother standing behind her. I called my mother that night. Why was Lily's birthday so different from Tyler's? She paused. We'd already spent a lot this month, and Lily didn't want a big party. She's 8, Mum. What 8-year-old doesn't want a birthday party? Tyler lives here full-time. Darcy, Lily is temporary. Temporary. She said it like it was a fact, not a knife, but it cut just the same. I went to my computer at 3 a.m. and drafted a hardship reassignment request, 2 pages, single-spaced, citing documented concerns about the conditions of my family care plan. The next morning, I called Captain Elena Rivera. Jag officer, Fort Campbell. She owed me a favour. Rivera, I need legal advice. Off the record for now. Talk to me. My parents are Lily's designated caregivers. I think there's favouritism and maybe neglect. I need to know my options. She didn't hesitate. Document everything. Screenshots, school reports, dates. If this goes legal. You want a paper trail that starts before the incident, not after. There hasn't been an incident. Then you're ahead of the curve. Stay there. I spent the next 2 months building a file, every call logged, every drawing scanned, every text saved, every school record screenshot. I had a green notebook, small hardcover elastic band, that I kept in my footlocker. I wrote in it every night. And then, 3 weeks before my reassignment came through, a care package arrived from home. Inside was a drawing on construction paper. I opened it. Left side of the page, a tall man, a curly-haired woman, a smaller woman holding a boy's hand. All together, all smiling. Bright red and yellow and blue crayon, right side, one small figure. Brown hair, no smile, standing alone. No one touching her. A gap between her and everyone else, like she existed in a different world. At the bottom, in careful child handwriting, my family. My daughter drew herself outside her own family, sat on that bunk in Kuwait, and stared at that drawing for a very long time. Then, I folded it and slipped it into the breast pocket of my uniform. Stayed there for 4 months, against my chest, against my heart. Here is what I learned. Later, after the investigation, after the interviews, after Tyler sat across a table from a forensic specialist and couldn't keep his story straight. Tyler Walsh had been lying about Lily since September. Not once. Not twice. Over and over. A pattern so consistent it had become the background noise of that house. The first lie was small. He threw the TV remote at the wall during a tantrum over a video game. When Ray stormed in, Tyler pointed at Lily. She dropped it, Lily. Said she didn't. Ray sent her to her room. Lily never argued again after that. The second lie was about cookies. My mother baked snickerdoodles for Tyler's classroom party. Half the tray disappeared overnight. Tyler told Connie that Lily ate them. The truth. He gave them to a friend across the street. Mother never asked Lily for her side. You need to learn some self-control, she told my 8-year-old daughter. The third lie involved school. Tyler told his teacher that Lily had called him a name at recess. The teacher separated them for a week. The school counsellor looked into it. No witnesses, no evidence, but the separation had already happened. Lily spent that entire week eating lunch alone, every single time. The same pattern. Tyler spoke. Adults believed, Lily denied. Adults dismissed, until Lily stopped denying. My mother had told her, nobody likes a child who makes up stories. Don't be a tattletale. So Lily drew instead. Mrs. Patterson, the school counsellor at Millbridge Elementary, had been meeting with Lily once a week since November. She told me later, your daughter doesn't talk much. But her drawings say everything. And then there was the necklace. My mother owned a pearl necklace that had been passed down through 3 generations of Ingram women. Worn at weddings, christenings, milestone birthdays. One Sunday at dinner, a dinner I wasn't there for, my mother brought the necklace to the table and opened the velvet box in front of Tyler. Someday when you're older, she told him, I'll pass this down to you. She let him hold it. Watched him turn the pearls over in his small fingers. Lily, sitting across the table, asked quietly, can I hold it too? My mother didn't look at her. Not right now, sweetheart. You might drop it, Tyler smirked. My sister Jenna, sitting next to him, leaned toward my mother and said, just loud enough for Lily to hear, you know Lily's clumsy. Remember the vase? The vase Tyler had knocked off a shelf while roughhousing. He told my parents Lily had bumped it. They believed. Lily went upstairs after dinner and drew. Nobody checked on her. Nobody asked what she was drawing. Nobody. Noticed she had gone quiet again. School counsellor. Patterson called me on a Saturday afternoon. I was eating dinner in the mess hall when my personal phone buzzed with a Tennessee number. I stepped outside. The wind was hot and smelled like diesel. Lieutenant Ingram, this is Gail Patterson. I'm the counsellor at Millbridge Elementary. I work with Lily. Is she okay? Physically, yes. But I wanted to talk to you about some patterns I've been seeing. She told me Lily had become increasingly withdrawn since January. She no longer played with other children at recess. She sat in the corner of the cafeteria and drew. She flinched when adults raised their voices. Nearby. Then Patterson said something that made me grip the railing, until my knuckles turned white. She told me her grandfather says she's not a real Ingram. I closed my eyes. Those exact words. My father had said those same words. To me. The day I told him I was enlisting. Now. He was saying them to my 8-year-old daughter. I added 3 lines to the green notebook that tight, and I called Rivera first thing the next morning. Rivera. File everything we have. I'm coming home early. My reassignment came through on a Tuesday. Colonel Barrett handed me the paperwork in his office and looked at me with the face of a man who understood more than he was saying. Ingram, whatever's going on at home, handle it. Your kid needs you more than logistics does right now. I packed my footlocker in 40 minutes. Green notebook, laptop, phone charger, Lily's drawing still in my breast pocket. Everything else was army issue. It could stay. My flight left Kuwait at 0600. 17 hours. 2 layovers. I landed in Nashville at 2 p.m. on a Wednesday and did not call my parents. I checked into a Holiday Inn 12 minutes from their house. I sat on the hotel bed, with my phone in my hand and called, Rivera, I'm stateside. Good, your family care plan revocation is drafted. I can file Monday morning. What happens after you file? Your parents lose caregiver status. Legal guardianship reverts to you immediately. If they refuse to return Lily, we go to family court. And if something happens before Monday, then you call 911 and you call me in that order. But Darcy, let the process work. If you confront them now, they play victim. Your father says you're unstable. Your mother cries. Your sister tells everyone you abandoned your daughter, and now you're attacking the people who stepped up. She was right. I knew she was right. Don't tell anyone you're back, Rivera said. Go to the school first. Talk to the counsellor. Build your case in daylight. The next morning, I drove to Millbridge Elementary. Mrs. Patterson was waiting for me with a manila folder. Thick. Lily's name on the tab in blue ink. She opened it on her desk. 6 months of Lily's drawings. Arranged by date, September. Lily and Tyler at a table. Both smiling. Normal October, family together, but Lily slightly to the left. A small gap had appeared between her figure and the others. November. Lily's figure smaller. Everyone else taller. No one holding her hand. December. A drawing of a large face with a wide open mouth in red crayon. A tiny figure at the bottom. Blue dots for tears. That was my father. January, Tyler's birthday. A boy surrounded by balloons and presents and people. And in the bottom right corner, alone, a girl with brown hair. An X drawn across her body. February, just 2 figures. One small, one tall, wearing green. Holding hands. The caption in wobbly child handwriting, What I Want. Patterson said quietly, She drew you in your uniform. I already knew. I photographed every drawing, front and back. Photographed Patterson's session notes, 12 pages, sent the entire file to Rivera. Then I sat in my rental car in the school parking lot and cried, the kind of crying that comes from the chest. The kind where your hands grip the steering wheel, because if you let go, you might not stop. 7 months overseas, 7 months of 12-hour shifts and satellite calls, and she'd been drawing me in every picture, the person she wanted to come back. That afternoon, I parked across from my parents' house. 45 p.m, Tyler's bus came first. My father walked out to the curb to meet him, ruffled his hair, took his backpack, said something that made Tyler laugh. They went inside together. Door stayed open. 20 minutes later, Lily's bus came. She stepped off. Stood on the sidewalk a moment, adjusting her backpack straps, walked up the driveway. The front door was closed. She knocked. My 8-year-old daughter knocked on the door of the house she had been living in for over a year. My mother opened it, no smile. No greeting. Wipe your shoes and pick up your stuff from the hallway, Lily. Walked in. The door closed. I sat in my car with both hands on the wheel. I made myself breathe. Then I called Mrs. Calloway, the neighbour, who had lived next door to my parents. Since before I was born, Mrs. Calloway. It's Darcy, I'm back from deployment. Darcy, oh honey, I'm glad you called. I need to ask you about Lily. A pause. That little girl sits on the porch alone every evening after dinner. Darcy, while Tyler plays in the yard with your father, she just sits there. I've been watching it for months. Anything else? Your father yells at her like she's a stray. I hear it through the walls. It's been getting worse since Christmas. I wrote down every word. Date, time, details. That evening I drove to their house. Told myself. I was just going to check. I pulled in at 7:15 p.m. and I heard my father's voice through the front door, loud enough to reach my car. I told you to clean up after dinner. Tyler doesn't have to be told twice. Lily's voice. Small, careful. I did clean up, Grandpa. Don't talk back to me. Go upstairs and stay there. My hand was on the car door. Every part of me wanted to walk up those steps and carry her out without a single word to my father, but I heard Rivera's voice in my head. If you confront them now, they play victim. I closed my eyes, pulled my hand off the handle. I backed out of that driveway. That was the hardest thing I have ever done in my entire life. I called Rivera from the hotel parking lot. File the revocation. First thing tomorrow morning. Done. 9 a.m. I sat in my hotel room and stared at the ceiling. 9 hours until morning. 9 hours until paperwork. 9 hours of trusting that nothing would go wrong. But the storm came that night. Here is exactly what happened inside my parents' house that Thursday evening. I know this because of Tyler's interview, Mrs. Calloway's witness statement, and my mother's own tearful confession 3 days later. Around 8:30 p.m, my mother went upstairs to lay out her outfit for church the next morning. She opened the velvet box on her dresser. Empty. She searched the bedroom, the bathroom, the hallway. Then she went downstairs and started pulling open drawers, kitchen, living room, front closet. Ray, my necklace is gone. I can't find it anywhere. My father stood up from his recliner. Tyler was in the living room. He watched the panic build for about 90 seconds. Then he walked to my father. Grandpa, I saw Lily put something in her backpack after school. She was being sneaky about it. My father did not ask a single follow-up question. He walked straight to the guest room, grabbed Lily's backpack, unzipped. The pearl necklace was in the front pocket. Tyler had put it there that afternoon, while Lily was upstairs doing homework. He had taken it from the velvet box, carried it to the guest room, and slipped it into her bag. Then he zipped it closed and went back to the television. He was 10 years old, and he knew exactly what would happen next. My father's face turned red, the same shade I had seen exactly once before. The day I told him I was joining the army. Lily, get down here now. She came down the stairs in her pyjamas, bare feet on the hardwood. Hands at her sides. She had no idea what was coming. My father held up the necklace in one hand and her backpack in the other. You stole this from your grandmother's dresser. I didn't, Grandpa. I didn't take it. It was in your bag. I don't know how it got there. I didn't take it. He threw the backpack on the floor. 2 years I've put up with this. 2 years of your attitude. You're lying. You're sneaking around. My mother stood behind him. Clutching the necklace to her chest, she said nothing. She did not step between them. She did not ask a single question. Jenna arrived 10 minutes later. My parents had called her. She walked in, looked at Lily sitting on the bottom stair and crossed her arms. This is what happens when a child doesn't have structure. I've been saying it for months. Tyler stood in the doorway. He picked at the skin around his thumbnail. A nervous habit. The kind a 10-year-old develops when the lie he told is growing bigger than he planned. My father leaned over Lily. You have anything to say for yourself? I didn't do it, Grandpa. He straightened up. Looked at my mother. Looked at Jenna. Then looked back at Lily. Tyler. Said he saw you. He said it the way you state a law of nature. The sun rises in the east. Water is wet. Tyler doesn't. My mother touched his arm. Ray. Maybe we should... He pulled away. No, I'm done. Then he said the words. He stood over my 8-year-old daughter, Jenna behind his right shoulder, my mother behind his left, and he said, I've had enough of you. Get out. I don't need a lying granddaughter. Outside, the storm had been building since sundown. By 8:53 p.m, the rain was sideways. My father walked to the front door and opened it. Wind pushed it, wider than he meant it to. He didn't close it, he just pointed. Lily stood up from the stairs. She didn't argue. She didn't scream. She picked up her backpack, put it on her shoulders, and walked through that open door. She was wearing cotton pajamas with little stars on them. No shoes, no jacket, no phone. The rain hit her the second she stepped outside. My father slammed the door. Next door, Mrs. Calloway was rinsing her dinner plate when she heard the slam. She looked through her kitchen window. She saw a small figure walking down the sidewalk in the rain. She picked up her phone. Why, there's a child walking alone outside in this storm. She just came out of the house next door. She's in her pajamas. Inside my parents' house. My mother sat at the kitchen table and held the pearl necklace. Ray, maybe we should let her back in. She'll catch cold. She'll come back when she's ready to apologise. Jenna put on her coat. I need to get home before the roads flood. Tyler, let's go. Tyler didn't move right away. He stood in the doorway, looking at the closed front door. 5 seconds. Then he followed his mother to the garage. Nobody went after Lily. Nobody checked the porch. Nobody looked out the window. My daughter walked 4 blocks in a Tennessee, thunderstorm, barefoot, soaking, alone, before she found a storm drain large enough to crawl into. She sat inside it, hugging her knees, her backpack over her head, for 3 hours, until the blue and red lights found her. When Officer Gutierrez wrapped her in a thermal blanket and she still couldn't speak. Room 4, I pushed through the door and there she was, hospital bed, IV in her left arm, monitors blinking green. Her pajamas had been replaced with a hospital gown 2 sizes too big. Her hair was still damp. Her eyes were closed. I sat down beside her and took her hand. I'm here. I'm not leaving. Her eyes opened. Mommy. Yeah, baby. Right here. In her other hand, crumpled against her palm, a drawing, 2 stick figures, one small, one in green, holding hands. 20 minutes later, the hospital social worker came in, Nancy Odom, grey cardigan, clipboard, the kind of careful, professional calm that meant she had done this before. I'm required by law to file a report with Child Protective Services. An 8-year-old was admitted tonight with exposure injuries and no legal guardian present. I understand. She took my information, my parents' information. I gave her Mrs. Calloway's name and number. I told her about the family care plan, about the documentation I had been building. Is there anything else you want me to know? I looked at her over Lily's head. I have 6 months of school counsellor reports, behavioural observations, communication logs, and a documented financial record of the support I was providing. I can send all of it tonight. Please do. After she left, I called Rivera. It's happening. CPS is filing tonight. I'm driving to Campbell now. I'll be there by morning. 1 hour and 12 minutes after I arrived, my father walked in. He saw Lily first. The colour left his face. Then he turned and saw me. Army jacket. My name stitched over the left pocket. His hands started shaking, both of them. You can't be here. You're deployed. I've been here for an hour. Dad, how? You're supposed to be overseas. I came back early. My mother came in behind him. She saw Lily and her hand flew to her mouth. Then she saw me, and she started crying. If you had been here, none of this would have happened. I held her gaze. I trusted you to be here for her. Mom, my father tried to recover. The girl stole your mother's necklace. No, she didn't. Tyler is 10 years old, and we are not having this conversation in a hospital room. A nurse appeared in the doorway. I need to ask visitors to keep their voices down. Please. I stood up slowly, calmly, without rushing. Dad, Mom, I think you should leave. CPS will be contacting you tomorrow. My father's face shifted from white to red. CPS? You called CPS on your own parents? The hospital did. Because that's what happens when an 8-year-old ends up in the emergency room during a thunderstorm. With no guardian present, he opened his mouth. I waited. He closed it. They left. My mother's crying echoed. Down the hallway long after the elevator doors closed. Later that night, around 1 a.m, Lily woke up. She looked at me like she wasn't sure I was real. Am I in trouble? No, baby. You are never in trouble for telling the truth. She was quiet. Then, in a voice so small it barely reached the pillow, Tyler put the necklace in my bag. I saw him do it after school. He went into the guest room when he thought I was upstairs, but I was on the stairs. I saw him. Why didn't you tell Grandpa? Because Grandpa wouldn't listen. He never listens when it's about Tyler. I smoothed her hair back from her forehead. I know, and I'm going to make sure the right people listen this time. She closed her eyes. Her grip on my hand loosened, but didn't let go. I opened my phone and typed an email to Rivera. Subject line: Evidence package, CPS investigation, Ingram.attached, school counsellor notes. All 6 months of drawings, Mrs. Calloway's number, hospital intake form, family care plan documentation, every screenshot, every log entry, every line from the green notebook. The CPS investigator, Ms. Torres, 14 years on the job, arrived at my parents' house Monday morning. She interviewed Ray and Connie separately. My father's version: I told her to sit on the porch and think about what she'd done. She ran off on her own. My mother's version: Ray was upset. She went outside for some air. I thought she'd come right back in. Torres noted the discrepancy immediately. One was an order. The other was a choice. They couldn't both be true. Then Torres interviewed Mrs. Calloway. Phyllis had her own notes, dates, times, things she had heard through the shared wall since November. He opened the front door, she told Torres. He pushed the backpack at her. She was in her pyjamas, no shoes. He said, and these were his exact words, "Get out. I don't need a lying granddaughter." Then he slammed the door. I called 911 within 30 seconds. Torres wrote the quote in block letters, underlined it, that sentence, cold and short and final, went into the official CPS file as a direct witness statement from a 70-year-old woman with no motive to lie, and a clear view from her kitchen window. My father had spent 61 years controlling the story inside his house. He didn't know the walls were thinner than he thought. Tyler's interview was conducted by a child specialist named Dr. Kessler, trained in forensic interview techniques. Tyler, can you tell me what happened with the necklace? I saw Lily put it in her backpack. Where were you when you saw her? In the kitchen. Where was Lily? In the hallway. Can you see the hallway from the kitchen? Pause. I was in the hallway too. Were you in the kitchen or the hallway? He squeezed the stress ball she had given him. The living room. I saw her from the living room. 3 different locations in 30 seconds. Kessler didn't point it out. She just set down her pen and said, quietly, Tyler, sometimes kids say things because they're scared, or because someone told them to. It's okay to tell the truth here. Nothing bad will happen to you. Tyler looked at his mother. Jenna's face was stone. I put it in her bag. Jenna's voice cut across the room immediately. He's confused. He doesn't know what he's saying. Mom, please let Tyler finish. Tyler stared at the stress ball. Mum told me Lily needs to learn her place. She said if Lily got in trouble, Grandpa would send her away and things would go back to normal. The room went very quiet. In Jenna's separate interview, Torres placed the pearl necklace on the table in a clear evidence bag. This necklace was planted in an 8-year-old girl's bag by a 10-year-old boy who was told to do so by his mother. The result was a child being expelled from her home during a severe thunderstorm, without shoes, without a jacket, without supervision. She spent 3 hours alone in a storm drain. Jenna stared at the pearls under the fluorescent light. She didn't say a word. She picked up her phone and walked out. The supervised meeting at CPS county offices was on Wednesday. Afternoon, rectangular table. Recording device in the centre. My parents and their lawyer on one side. Me and Rivera on the other Torres presented her findings, inconsistent statements. Tyler's admission, Mrs. Calloway's witness account, 6 months of school counsellor documentation, hospital records. My father tried to interrupt twice. His lawyer put a hand on his arm both times. The third time he couldn't hold it. This is a family matter. You're turning a discipline issue into... Mr. Ingram. Torres didn't raise her voice. An 8-year-old was hospitalised with hypothermia. This is a child welfare matter. My mother started crying quietly. We love Lily. We made one mistake. I looked at her across the table. You told me that if I had been there, none of this would have happened. But I trusted you to be there for her, Mum. That was my only mistake. And I won't make it again. Rivera opened my folder. Family Care Plan Revocation. Already filed. Request for sole custody. Review. Submitted to family court. Documentation. Of the following $200 per month my parents had. Received. All of it on record. My father stared at the stack of paperwork. You're going to throw your own family away over this. You threw my daughter into a storm. Dad, I paused. I'm building her a roof. Torres delivered the preliminary findings at the end of the meeting. Substantiated. Report of child neglect against Ray and Connie Ingram. No unsupervised. Access to Lily pending comprehensive. Review. All future contact at a monitored visitation. Facility, bi-weekly, 2 hours. Social worker present Rivera confirmed. Family care plan officially revoked. Legal guardianship returned to me immediately. Formal custody order to follow within 30 days. My father stood. Up his chair scraped the floor. His hands were shaking again. The same tremor that started in his fingers and worked. It's way up. Darcy, she's my granddaughter. She is. And that's exactly why this had to happen. My mother reached across the table for my arm. Her fingers brushed my sleeve. I gently, slowly, pulled my hand back. Not in anger, just a boundary. Mom, I love you. But loving someone doesn't mean letting them hurt your child. She pressed her hand to her mouth. Their lawyer gathered his papers, shook Torres's hand, and guided them toward the door. My father stopped in the doorway. He turned back, opened his mouth, looked at the table, the paperwork, the revocation, the witness statements. The hospital records closed. His mouth and left. The door clicked shut. Walked out into a hallway that smelled like floor cleaner and burnt. Coffee. Lily was in the lobby, Rivera's paralegal. A young sergeant named Kim had been reading her a book from the waiting room shelf. Something about a dog who lost his bone. Lily looked up when she heard my footsteps. She slid off the chair and ran to me. Her arms went around my waist. She pressed her face into my jacket. Are we going home? Yes, baby. She pulled back and looked up at me. Our home. Our home. I took her hand, her backpack, hung from one shoulder. I could see the edge of the military-dependent ID card still clipped. Inside the front pocket. The same card I had put there the night before I left. I had put that card on her because I trusted my parents to keep her safe. But when the people failed and the system moved too, slowly and the storm came anyway, that small piece of plastic with my name on it was what brought her back to me, not my parents, not my sister. A laminated card and a nurse who dialed the number on the back. 3 months after that night, Lily and I were living on base at Fort Campbell's small apartment. 2 bedrooms. Her room had lavender curtains she picked out herself and a desk where she drew every evening after dinner. I had been reassigned to a stateside desk position. No deployments for at least 12 months. Family court formalised the custody order in April. Sole physical and legal custody. Me. My parents were granted supervised visitation. 2 hours every other Saturday at a monitored facility. A social worker present for every visit. The first visit was in May. My father brought Lily a colouring book, horses and flowers. He set it on the table between them and sat down in a plastic chair. He didn't know what to say. Lily didn't either. They coloured. Together for 45 minutes. He asked her about school. She told him about her art class. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't mention Tyler or Jenna or the necklace or the storm. When the 2 hours ended, he stood up. I'll see you in 2 weeks, Lily. Okay. Grandpa? He walked out to the parking lot and sat in his truck for 10 minutes before driving away. The social worker told me. Tyler sent. Lily a handwritten note in June. I'm sorry I lied about the necklace. I hope you're not mad. Lily asked if she had to write back. I said it was her choice. 3 days later she wrote, It's okay. I hope you're doing better, my mother calls. Every Sunday evening, the conversations are short. My father's hands still shake when he sees Lily at the visitation. Centre? I don't know if it's guilt or fear or something he doesn't have a name for yet. But he sits in that room for 2 hours every other Saturday, and he has never once, not one time since that night, raised his voice at her. I used to think protecting my daughter meant making sure she had a roof and food, and people around her. I was wrong. Protecting her meant making sure the people around her deserved to be there, and when they didn't, it meant having the courage to be the one who said enough, not with a scream, not with revenge, just with the truth, a stack of paperwork, and a mother who finally came home. That is my story, 1. Storm. One lie, and one mother who came home just in time. If this reminded you that protecting your child is never overreacting, share it with someone who needs to hear it. If you've been through something like this, or you know someone who has, drop a comment. I read every single one. Thank you for being here. Subscribe for more stories just like this one, and I'll see you in the next one.